Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News, a podcast that talks about comic books, movies, TV shows, and of course, we feature a beer of the week. I am Matt. With me, as always, is Lauren, the brains of the operation. And today, we have a really, really good episode for you, as we are going to be doing a creator interview with Zachary Kaplan, talking about his upcoming comic book, Beyond Real, from Vault Comics. So first things first, go to Hops Geek News, any podcasting platform, any social media platform, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. We're all there. Subscribe, all that good stuff, right? You know, share with a friend, share with your mom, play it for your dog while you're at work, whatever you do, because that's honestly what I'm going to do, man. I'm going to play our own podcast for my dog while I'm at work because nobody loves you like you love yourself.
Is it an organic lead if it's you playing it?
I don't know, but he's been having anxiety lately, so I'm just going to play it. Maybe my smooth jazz voice will just calm him while I'm gone.
I think my voice will counteract that.
Maybe it's like another soft, warm voice. That said, hey, my beer of the week is from Precarious Beer Project from right down the road from my house. I visit there frequently. They are delicious. It is Black is Beautiful Volume 2, which you might remember. Black is Beautiful is a really, really great movement that was started by Marcus Baskerville out of Weathered Souls Brewing in San Antonio, Texas. It's brewed in support of the National Black Brewers Association. Proceeds will go to the development and growth of black brewers nationwide. Volume 1 was stouts. Volume 2 is a wicked, good hazy IPA that, Lauren, I will be getting you soon because I know how much you love your hazies. And this one is thick. I can tell you straight up, you're going to love this one a lot. So I will get that out to you as soon as I can.
Nice.
What is your beer for this episode?
So I'm kind of disappointed. I have not seen Volume 2 in this area because like all the breweries did Volume 1, including.
I know it.
Well, I guess Virginia is just better than Florida. Shock. But I am drinking one from Sideward, who they did do Black is Beautiful back in 2020. This is called Voidless, and it's got a turkey on it. And it is November 1st when we're recording. So despite the fact my house still looks super spooky.
My wife did Thanksgiving stuff this morning. I came home. Halloween is gone. Thanksgiving is there. And I had Mariah Carey in my head. We're all over the place. I
didn't have time. We're leaving first thing in the morning. So it's going to be spooky till I get back. But there's a turkey on this can. And I mean, it's an IPA from Sideward, so you know it's going to be good. I absolutely love this. I think I actually do have this one in a box to send you.
Heck yeah. That's
once I get your birthday box out.
For when I watch Thanksgiving. Or there's a really good movie coming up soon.
This would be perfect for that. He's actually got like blood coming out of his mouth. So obviously this picture will be on the Instagram. So this is perfect for that. Yes, for a Thanksgiving horror movie. Absolutely perfect.
Yes, cheers. Absolutely. Now, Zachary, welcome to the show, man.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. How are you guys? Hi, everybody.
We are stoked to be here. Now, you're coming here to talk about some pretty cool comics. And first of all, before we get to that good stuff, though, we want to know a little bit about you. So please introduce yourself and then let everybody know kind of like, how did you get into the loving world of comic books?
I will. I'm introducing myself with my dog barking at me right now. Is that bleeding in here?
You never play your voice for me. Okay, come on. I don't hear a thing. So he's
great. Silent. Great. Good. He wants treats. He's bribing me, blackmailing me. My name is Zack Kaplan, my origin story. I'm a Midwestern boy that moved to the deep South, Jacksonville, Florida, lived there for my adolescence. And then
really?
Yeah.
I lived there for elementary school back in the 90s.
Jacksonville?
Yeah, Mandarin Oaks Elementary.
Yes, I worked at the movie theater right across from Mandarin. There was I can't remember what it is, but I used to work the concessions in Mandarin at some Cineplex or something.
World, yeah, it's probably where I saw The Lion King a million years ago. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. My origin story is I actually went to film school and I was pursuing film and TV writing for a while here in Los Angeles. I went to USC, but I always loved comics and I kind of always wanted to make a comic. I mean, I had always wanted to tell stories and writing, ever since I was in high school but I always wanted to do a comic and I kind of tried to do it for a very long time. I pitched a number of different places, but I didn't really know what I was getting into. And I got my first chance with a comic called Eclipse in 2016, which was a Image Top Cow book. And just kind of fell in love with the whole comics community, with making comics. I had done a number of film and TV stuff that had never been made. I just pitches and development and stuff like that. But I just loved it. I loved working with an artist. I loved the medium. I loved the kind of how intimate and how kind of connected the community is, and conventions, and the kind of being able to talk directly to readers about something I made. It was just fantastic. So I kind of decided to go all in, and that was kind of it for me. And then I went on to do Port of Earth with Image Top Cow, a couple Aftershock books, Lost City Explorers, Join the Future. Last year I did 4 different books, Metal Society with Image Top Cow, Breakout with Dark Horse, Vault Comics Mindset, Forever Forward with Scout, and Now Beyond Real is my 9th. So it's all been sci-fi, and it's all kind of I think kind of thought-provoking, and I've thought about how I felt a little bit, I think, like an outsider growing up in Florida, and then in the 80s and 90s. And so I think a lot of my writing stems from kind of trying to make sense of the world, trying to about dealing with kind of like stuff about connection, and so yeah, that's my origin quest, origin story.
I like that you're like, I just wanted to write one comic, and you're like, now this is my 9th one. So you clearly hit a stride, and you must obviously love what you're doing.
I do love it. Yeah. And I mean, I've worked with so many amazing different artists, pretty much different art team on every single book, and many different publishers. And I still feel kind of new to comics, but I guess I'm not too new. But I definitely feel like I've got my hang. I mean, there's so much that I felt like I was learning when I just came out with my first book. I didn't know about anything, and I think as a reader, I mean, I've been reading comics for a long time, but reading them and making them are 2 totally different experiences. And I think once you make one, you really kind of understand the form in a different way. You think about it in a different way. I'm sure there are plenty of listeners out there who have, even if they're not published, have tried to make their own, and just the act of trying to make it, you think about it differently. And then when you go and read them, you suddenly, I think, see the creative choices. And I never had done that. All my reading experience prior to making it was purely as an entertainment value of, I enjoy reading the stories. And then you make it, and it's like, the creative choices, the layout choices, the everything. So
you have an inside perspective.
Yeah, a lot of people like they look at comic books as almost, maybe not so much more, but back in the day it was like, anybody could write comic books. You just put like 5 words on a page and you're good. But really, when you break it down, I mean,
those 5 words are bam.
Well, there's so much more that goes into creating comic books. I mean, there's you, the writer, like how do you take the story and break it down into panels or splash pages, and how do you communicate with an artist who, if you're not the artist and the writer, you got to talk and communicate with somebody else about, this is my vision, but then like, how does your vision meet up? And there's so much that goes on behind the scenes. So for you, what was that like writing, coming in from a world, like you said, TV, film, and then taking comic books? What was kind of difficult for you, or what was easy for you?
Yeah, I think, in the beginning, you're just trying to understand, well, is this supposed to be 5 panels or 6 panels? And like, where do the balloons go? And how much is too much dialogue on a page? But then I think the more you start to think about it, I at least started to think more and more about, well, what is the emotionality of this page, or what can the layout do to convey a sense of claustrophobia or a sense of urgency with the reader? How can I exploit the actual medium of comics to, elevate the experience? And I think some of my more recent books, I've been trying to do that a little bit more with my creative teams, whether it's Mindset with John Pearson, or even I think we did a bit of that in both Breakout and Metal Society, just trying to play with the form a bit more. But I think in the beginning, I was far more focused on just understanding the basics of it all. I mean, I think I felt good about the narrative components of telling a story, setting up a world, creating a character and conflict and all of that. I think one of the things that's really existential about so many comics is how much space there is for how much story, mini series or ongoing. I mean, it's also tricky because When I first came in, Eclipse was a 4-issue miniseries, and then it did well enough that we got the opportunity to do more of that story. And I kind of always thought about more, but I wasn't sure. And that's a really tricky thing that I think a lot of creators find themselves in. It's this: are you telling an episodic story? Are you telling a contained story? And sometimes the marketplace dictates how many issues you're going to get. And so there's some tricky balance there in terms of the spacing and the story that you tell.
Well, we all saw what happened with Lost. So they had a story to tell, and they were done. And
they didn't
ABC said, keep going. And
yes.
And I personally hated the ending. And so I'll never revisit the show because I dislike the ending so much. So that's definitely a fine balance you got to find. So digging into this comic, I love that, for one, the first page was very foreshadowing as to what we were getting into. And you said you like it when people think, obviously, this is a really, you think about it kind of comic. Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Beyond Real and where this idea came from?
Beyond Real is, I guess, a sci-fi adventure in the broadest sense of the words, but also it's a love letter to comics and artists. It's about a young, struggling artist, June, who finds herself in a car accident. Her lover is injured and put into a coma, and at the same time, she develops this strange supernatural phenomenon that she starts to experience strange things, and ultimately discovers that she is that life is a simulation, and she has the ability to not just manipulate it, but travel through it. And so she travels through different layers of life simulation to rescue her lover from a coma. And we have different artists drawing different layers of the simulation. And it's very much about, what if we're living in a simulation, but what if it's not matrixy? What if it's creative? What if it's imaginative? What if it's artistic? Because everything in life that gets created is far messier than it is structured. And so it's just kind of looking at this very high-tech sci-fi idea of, we're living in a simulation, and simulation theory in a far more artistic way. And she has her own artist journey, and her journey very much reflects the journey that a lot of creatives and creators and artists feel about dealing with both external and internal conflicts.
I enjoyed seeing the criticism she got from like the art gallery. Like, no, you can't just do one thing one day and another thing another day. Like, it needs to be consistent to be in this gallery. I thought that was really interesting and very realistic too. It's like, artists are supposed to be free and be able to do what they want. And then if you want to do this, then you have to do this and this and that. So give us a little bit more about the art, because this was a story that you needed the art to really convey, I feel like, how intricate this world was. So how was that with each artist? Were there different struggles, or was it kind of a smooth process?
I mean, it's the most ambitious comic that I've done, and maybe one of the most ambitious ones that Vault has done. And I remember pitching it to Vault Comics and explaining the scope and how many different artists I envisioned on it. And it's not even one artist per issue. It's not like, well, each artist will draw their own issue. Each artist is drawing their own part of the world, but we're switching in and out when it's narratively important. And so there was a lot, and then we needed each artist to have this very, not only to be talented and amazing, but to have a distinct style that would leap off the page, that you would kind of look at this artist's style and go, wow, this artist has such a unique, indicative voice that there's not many other artists that you could imagine drawing this part of the story. And so there's some really gorgeous, breathtaking parts of this comic.
Yeah.
And the thinking was to capture the different kind of artist voices and different kind of things that make up an artist. And there's a part of one world that's kind of a bit more structured. And we have Tony Vizula, who did a book with TKO called Forgotten Blade, and his world is just full of lines and structure and geometry, and it's just so fascinating. There's a lot of opacity and like layers there. And then One World by Vincenzo Riccardi, where everything is alive. It's all constantly movement. You feel like just the flowiness of it all. And so, every different world has a different kind of aspect that an artist might play with. And you cited the criticism that the main character gets at one moment from an art teacher. There's also kind of these little interwoven, not lessons, but themes about our relationship with art, or our relationship with creativity, about, follow the structure, how you're supposed to find your voice or your style, and things like that kind of get they become kind of these underlying whispers of the theme as the characters are going on the adventure.
I think you hit on something really important there. It's the creativity, the art. It's like as artists, as creative minds, you're always told to like the sky's the limit. But I think what you capture really well, especially with June, it's that yes, she's an artist, she's told that, but at the same time, everybody is telling her what to do and how to do it, even in her own artistic vision. And you capture that extremely well, even through words that you've written, or even visually. It's very well done, because that's a very real problem in life that just makes you, it's like, I'm told to be as creative as possible, but they're putting me in a box still.
I was to say, I took AP art in high school, and for my final project, they said you could do any artist you wanted. So I did Walt Disney, and I created my own Disney characters. And my art teacher was fabulous. Kudos to Miss Downey. She was my art teacher all 4 years. She's probably not going to get the AP credit, but I want you to do this because I know you love Disney, and I want you to be as creative as you want to be. And she was right. I got an A all through the class, did not get the AP credit, took art in college. It was a joke and a half, and got an A+. But, we need the teachers like Miss Downey, because they're the ones that really encourage you. Like, you don't know what's going to hit. And art's supposed to be an expression of you and how you feel and how you grieve. So do what you love. Yeah.
I think a lot of artists, when you're starting out, or you're at any phase, it gets cyclical at times. You go through phases where you understand your voice, and you go through phases when you don't. And June is very much a character that isn't sure about her voice, isn't sure about whether she's supposed to follow the rules or break the rules. Is she supposed to be commercial, or supposed to be, abstract or independent? Is she supposed to, when she finally gets her voice, is she supposed to go work for the man, or is she supposed to go do her own thing? Like, what is the right path? And, it's a lot. It's very interesting to me to kind of explore those things. I'm not an artist, I'm a writer, but I find that there's a lot of similarities.
Writing is an art.
Yeah. To just the creative experience of the right way versus the wrong way, and being true to yourself. And when you're being true to yourself, but you feel like no one's listening, you kind of say, well, here I am being true to myself, but no one is listening.
Just need the right audience.
Yeah. So, I suppose it's real fascinating. And then it's against this backdrop that's looking at life as art itself, that I really found it. I think you asked me, where did the idea come from? I mean, simulation theory is this really hot new sci-fi idea. We're living in a simulation, and you have all these scientists saying, well, we could be living in a simulation, and if a video game can one day make a virtual reality that's so perfect that you wouldn't know you're in a game, then why couldn't we be in that world? Why couldn't someone have made this world for us? We don't know. And I find that all very fascinating to think about, but it comes across, when you first think about it, so structured and so computery. And I just can't help go, what about the artistic component to creation? If we are in something that's been created around us, is it going to be programmable? Is it programmed, or is it artistic? And what does that mean for our fate? I mean, there's a whole other layer to Beyond Real about determinism. And is June on a path that is predetermined? Is she just programmed, and every time her life sucks, it's meant to suck? Or does she have free will? If we're living in a simulation, does that mean that everything is planned out? Where does our control and our voice come into it? And so the very first page opens with her talking to her boyfriend about, is life all planned? And if we're living in a simulation, then does that mean that when my life sucks, it's supposed to suck? So
right, it's pretty mean programming.
Yeah, it's pretty mean programming. And so I find it a really interesting existential question of is both possible? Could we have free will, but could also have things be deterministic? And so the book kind of plays with both answers. And I think that readers will get to make up their own mind about what the book is saying by the end of it. But yeah.
Yeah, it's very much. I like how you said that readers can make up their own mind, because you really do play with a lot of really deep ideas. Like there is some really deep stuff that you put in here. And I read this at work, so I was even sitting there at work like having this midlife crisis at work, you know. And it's just like, whoa, how do I continue my day after that? Because it's stories that I personally love are those that provoke thought, and this is definitely one of those that does that. Where did you pull the inspiration? How did you build this character, June? Was there any like sort of personal inspirations or things like that you put into June or pulled from to create this character in this world?
I think a lot. I mean, again, you know, she's an artist and I'm a creative, and so I think a lot of the things that she's gone through, I've experienced. I think she's definitely different from me in the sense that she's messier and more impulsive and more maybe those are characteristics that I respect at times and kind of say, you know, so I made her some of her struggles very much struggles that I've experienced, and I made part of her the hero that I think was right to take on. That these things that sometimes we're told are negatives, like someone is too impulsive or they're too emotional or they're too chaotic. I think those can be great strengths. Someone who's willing to take a risk or who's willing to fight for what they believe in, or who has enough emotions to not get persuaded by what the world's telling them, but to hold true to their gut feelings or their heart. So I gave her a lot of heart. And yeah. And then, I mean, the collaborators on the book really helped shape her a lot too. The first artist on issue 1, Fabiana Mascolo, she just brings this character to life so beautifully. I mean, the character, she designed the character, and then the character gets passed on to different artists throughout the series. But Fabiana with Jordi Belaire's colors, just there's so much heart and emotionality in that first issue, which was I think a risk for me as a creator, to be honest, because it's I think it's definitely like you're putting a piece of
yourself out there at the same time when it's something that's so heart and thought provoking.
Yeah, well, and I think there's this I know that issue 1s do very well from a business perspective when there's a lot of like action or like some really great cliffhangers, and this was a real raw, heartfelt experience for this character in the beginning, and it's a much more slower burn about what's happening to her, and then it kind of ends with a more exciting propulsion into the story. So I think that was kind of a risk that I enjoyed taking about making that first issue really just about this girl who starts feeling lost and confused, and then has this car accident, and then her lover is, in a coma, and then she is experiencing this whole new strange phenomenon that she doesn't understand, and she's all by herself, and this one person that she has used to help her through these things is not available to her anymore. So, I definitely put myself into her shoes and tried to think about, that experience as much as possible. And, I had a great also Vault Comics, Adrian Wassel and Dershing Helmer were the 2 editors on this book. And we all spent a lot of time talking about her character and really trying to bring her to life as much as possible.
I loved how she struggled with other people weren't seeing what she was seeing.
Yeah.
And it was almost so like, I know I'm not crazy, but how do I prove to myself I'm not crazy? And like, who do you go to for help in those scenarios? That's always one that really makes you think in movies, books, all that.
Yeah. Simulation, she has that struggle. There's the same people going through the same experience she has, but yet she's still seeing it so differently. And to me, I took like, that's a very real take on life, because we all may be going through the same thing, but we all take it on very differently. And I like how you really portrayed that in these first 3 issues, because it's, again, they're all in the same journey, almost trying to find the same goal, but they all are thinking about it and going about it different ways. And that was probably one of my favorite things about this.
Yeah. She doesn't know what's happening to her in the beginning, but she knows Oh, she doesn't know if she doesn't know if she's going crazy or not, but she knows something weird is happening. She doesn't feel like, she's not sure. But yeah, what's fascinating is she finally goes on this journey into the next layer of the simulation. She meets more characters who are having similar experiences, and yet hers is still distinct. And I think that she ends up going on this journey with two other characters. And all three of those characters are kind of having different experiences. They have different abilities. They have different issues. They have different kind of origins of how they got there. And it's all meant to be unsettling, I think. You're trying to figure out what are the rules. What is there seems to be some form, but then some other things where, why are we on this journey? Why us? What? And I didn't want it to be something specific. I wanted it to feel a little, there's no reason why June is going on this journey versus someone else, but it's happening to her and she's going to have to handle it.
Yeah. And I feel like she struggles with lack of control, and now she's somewhat weirdly has some control that she doesn't know what to do with.
Yes, that's right. It's a weird, sometimes I study the archetypes that I'm dealing with. And in a weird way, there's this tiny aspect of this story that's kind of like a superhero story, in the sense that she's an ordinary person, and then she develops this weird ability to experience life as a simulation and to manipulate it and deal with it. And the story is about her trying to understand this power and this experience and what it means to her, and if she can control it or not, and how she'll control it. So, it's the most indie, abstract, artistic superhero story you could explore. But it is, she is trying to deal with this power and how to play with it. I think it's really interesting to think of art and creation as a power that we have, and we're trying to.
Oh, it's like Harold and the Purple Crayon.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Create your own adventure, kind of.
Yes, thing. That's right. Yeah.
Now, go ahead, Matt.
No, go ahead. I was just
going to segue to the next one. I was going to say, tell everybody where and when they can get this comic before we talk about your Dark Horse comic, and we have a couple hard hitting questions.
That was my question, because we read the first 3 issues. So how many issues are you guys planning on putting out?
There's just five issues. Yes, you guys have had a sneak peek of the first 3 issues. I'll give everyone first the full rundown of the entire cast of artists on this book. So we have Fabiana Mascolo and Jordi Belair, Tony Fajula, who did The Forgotten Blade, Vincenzo Riccardi, who's done several Star Wars. He's done so many covers. I mean, God, I now know a Vincenzo Riccardi cover when I see it, because it's so gorgeously specific. Dennis Menhier is been an amazing artist, but kind of just started to get into comics in the past couple of years. He did a book with Source Point called Ethereas last year, which was gorgeous, and we dragged him into this. Jorge Corona, Middle West, and so many other great books. Liana Kangas, Luana Vecchio. Jorge Corona is collaborating with a colorist, Matea Iokono, if I'm saying his name right. So we've got 7 different artists, 2 colorists. Hassan Otsman Alhau is lettering the entire book. Every different world has a different distinct lettering style, which is amazing, and Hassan is amazing. John Pearson does my Mindset collaborator does a cover series, all the 8 covers, which are gorgeous. And the book comes out December 13th. Your last chance to order it is November 12th. But then the other really exciting thing is that Vault is doing this new initiative where they're giving away Beyond Real for free to retailers. They did this with Unnatural Order, which was a Christopher Yost book that just came out, and they had 140,000 pre-orders on that book. So they're doing it again with Beyond Real. And each retailer is deciding whether they sell it, discount it, give it away. they're trying to shake things up a little bit, but ultimately the goal is to make it easier for retailers to try a new independent book like this. And so if you're a reader out there listening, go to your retailer. You should still pre-order the book. You should tell your retailer that you want to order this and see what they're doing with it. If they're giving it to customers for free, if they're charging, what have you. But the more you tell the retailer that you want it, the more they'll order. But I think the direct market has been in a kind of depressed place over the past year for sure. And so Vault is trying to shake things up a little bit. And this is my 9th creator-owned book, and I think it's a really fascinating and cool strategy. And I'm kind of hoping it works. I really like the idea of giving away number 1 and letting everyone try it out. Especially with a book like this, which is something that I think if people will give number 1 a chance and read it, they might just fall in love with June and fall in love with the ideas and the artwork and say, this is a surprise to me, but I need to have more of this and come on board. So yeah, that's all the information on it.
No, you're 100% right. It's definitely a unique take. And I love seeing creators kind of take those chances, right? It's also with a book, it's all about taking chances and taking risks.
Yeah.
It's very, very poetic. And having, like I said, we got the sneak peek. This is something that I think if people really give a chance and read, you're going to be surprised at how quickly you're finding yourself in deep with this book. It's beautifully drawn. The stories are very beautifully done. And the art, especially, man, I can't say enough about the art. It's too, because it's the things that you guys do in this book has not really been done before, as far as intertwining different artists to match what's going on. So I really do hope people take a chance on this book. And again, we are going to do what we can and make sure we push to get, retailers and everybody out there.
Tell your local comic shop.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Man. You want to support, you want to get more of this and read more of this. This is the way to do it for sure.
Now, our hard-hitting questions. Are we ready for those before we talk Dark Horse?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Okay. So if you had to pick one, Marvel or DC?
Yeah. If you had to pick one, Marvel or DC, that's a great question. As a comic book writer who would one day enjoy writing for either Marvel or DC and want to have my chances of writing for Marvel or DC be of equal opportunity, I can always say, yes, that's a great question. Marvel or DC. I agree.
We just got our first political response to that answer.
I love it. This is one of those things that we just like kind of as a joke, because we always dive deep and stuff, and as like a way to just,
and people struggle
at the end of the episode. We're like, well, it's just like those just silly questions, and this is the first. I love it. You should get politics in your future.
Thank you. I will say one character that I would be most excited to write in the sandbox is the Green Lantern sandbox.
Okay.
I love cosmic stuff. I love sci-fi.
And that's more creating your universe too. Oh,
yeah.
Look at that.
Yes. So, yes, I would love to do anything Green Lantern oriented. I'm sure there are Marvel equivalents that are similar, but Green Lantern is definitely on my bucket list for sure.
Okay, now what would be your favorite non-Marvel or DC label? Do you have one of those? You can give a political response again if you like, but then you have to answer my last question.
Like an IP, like some sort of intellectual property.
Dark Horse, Boom.
Just
Image.
a publisher. Just a publisher.
Yeah, just anybody that's not Marvel or DC.
Well, I've worked with a lot of great ones. I've done a couple books with Dark Horse, had an amazing experience. Vault had an amazing experience. I've done Image books with Top Cow, had an amazing experience. I would like to do an Image direct book. I would love to work with Boom. But I'm there's a lot of great publishers.
Fan, though, could you pick one as a fan? Like, it was there
just the publisher?
Well, yeah, like a lot of my favorites are from Image.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I would love to do. I would very much love to do an Image direct book. I've worked with Image Top Cow books before, which has been a fantastic experience. I would also love to do just an Image book for sure. That's on the bucket list too.
Now, do you have one overall favorite comic book? Like, what's the one comic book that really like made you either fall in love with comics or be like, wow, comics are amazing, and kind of reignite it? And it can be a silly reason or it can be a profound. It can just be like,
Yeah,
I really like the show Walking Dead. So.
I'd say two. Why the Last Man really brought me into what an original creator-owned book could be in a way that I hadn't, I think, perceived prior to that. And I know there were other books, but I had read big two books and just kind of big pulpy books and things like Spawn up until then. And then right around the early 2000s, that was when I found several of the Vertigo titles and creator-owned titles. And I remember Why the Last Man just standing out to me and kind of going, oh, wow, a comic can be this completely its own world, its own universe in a way that I hadn't perceived before. So that definitely shaped me. But I would also say All Things Remender, especially Deadly Class, really just got me in a way that made me just so excited to keep reading that series. And it was just so heartfelt and Why the Last Man was just super entertaining, but man, did I fall in love with the characters in Deadly Class. So yeah.
You also told us that you have just announced recently at New York Comic Con has just passed. I could not go. I wanted to. So
God, I've never had so much FOMO for a con before, even San Diego, because like everybody seemed to be in New York.
New York's a good one. Yeah,
it was so good. But you just announced a book with Dark Horse Comics. What was that book? And give us a little tease for it.
I did. It's my second book with Dark Horse. It is called Kill All Immortals. It is an action comic. It's basically a secession style family drama of immortal Vikings fighting modern day John Wick style. The story is that Eric the Red, the famous explorer and king, and his 4 adult children discovered some sort of mysterious supernatural immortality 1,000 years ago. And now they are a billionaire class secession style banking empire. And the youngest daughter, Frey, wants out, and she's going to have to fight her way out through her 3 bloodthirsty siblings and her father. And it's just hardcore action, berserker, kind of John Wick style modern action. It's modern. And if you see the covers, which are the A covers done by Oliver Barrett, and the logo by Tom Muller, it's just, they're in like Dolce & Gabbana and Armani, and they're in these like very modern locales. So it's just a kind of modern twist on this kind of power family drama that we've seen a lot, but we're trying to give it just a real kind of slick modern world. And it's been a ton of fun. Fico Ossio is the artist. You might know him from No One Left to Fight or Action Comics. I think he's done some Star Wars too, maybe. Jordi Belair is doing our colors. Hassan Otsmain Alhow is doing our letters. Another gorgeous book, and yeah, that'll be out in February. But if you like that, if you're ordering Beyond Real or telling your shop about Beyond Real, let them know about Kill All Immortals as well.
100%. We would we'll have to have you come back on as it gets closer and chat about that.
Yeah,
it's like a lot of fun.
I'll send you guys when I have a first issue. I'll send it your way. You can check it out. Yeah.
Cannot.
I mean, the name alone is pretty entertaining.
For real. Like the name right off the bat, if you're not hooked off the name, and then if you're not hooked about Vikings in general,
that was the 2 things that got me, were the name and the Vikings.
I really don't know what more you want, people, honestly. Like, are you not entertained at this point? But
you need to drink your oil out of a skull.
That's right.
Now, Zachary, before we go ahead and depart, man, go ahead, tell everybody where they can find you. And then do you have any upcoming comic conventions that you might be at?
Yes. You can find me online, Zack Caps. I'm on all Twitter, X, Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. I got a website, ZachKaplan.com, and shoot me a message. Let me know what you think when Beyond Real comes out. And then, I'm at Los Angeles Comic Con as my last one of the year.
Nice.
So I'll be at LA Comic Con for 3 days.
I think I have some friends going out there. I'm gonna make sure that they go by your booths.
Yeah,
especially for sure. And guys, if we haven't sold you yet, please, by all means, check out these books when they come out. I cannot speak enough. I know Lauren can't speak enough. We are big fans of just it provokes thought. That's the easiest way to put it. In a kind of world that just might seem it's too easy to just mind-numbingly scroll, this really provokes some really cool thought and a really good conversation. And I hope people order it because I know I can't wait to get my hands on the physical copy.
Yeah, and I need to read 4 and 5. Well, and we never know what we're going to get with a lot of people that want to come on the show. And I finished it and I sent it. I text Matt and I'm like, this one's really good. And the artwork's phenomenal too.
Thank you.
It was great. A testament to just how great, of a writer, for being your 9th book. This is you knock it out of the park. And
thank you so much. Thank you. I'll send you guys that when we have 4 and 5. I'll send you. It's those are amazing issues. I'm watching them come together right now, and the talent is just as good. I mean, we have a real murderer's row of artists. I'm so psyched, and I really think this book is gonna wow people and surprise them. I'm really excited that it's coming out for free because I think it'll put a ton out there. But I think once people check out the artwork, the story, and we're excited to make people think. That's kind of my mission statement as a writer. So I appreciate that's a great compliment. Thank you very much.
Fun.
When you get them thinking and then they start talking and word of mouth.
Word of mouth is how it goes in this day and age, especially.
Best kind of marketing.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We cannot wait to do it again. And
thank you so much, both of you. Thank you very much.
Websites, link in the bio, man. If you want anything related to Zach, his team, Vault Comics, it's all going to be right here in the link of the episode. I hope everybody goes out there. Final order cutoff is going to be this coming Sunday, November 12th. Make sure you run to your comic book shops. And I say run. I don't care how fast you get there. Break some speed limits if you have to. You're going to be there anyways, picking up whatever.
Do not break speed limits. Abide by all rules. We do not take responsibility for your bad choices.
Lauren's legitimately a lawyer. So yes, thank you. This is why I have a lawyer on the show. But
Matt gets out of control sometimes.
Anyways, I just get really excited. I get really passionate. And man,
ooh, did you go to your comic shop last week? They did free comics for Halloween. It was like trick or treat. Like there was a Moon Knight one, a Captain Marvel one. I'll have to take a picture because my kids took some and I took some. So yeah. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Anyways,
I thought it was just my comic shop.
You're going to be at your local comic shop. Order this book. Order any upcoming books and support your local comic book shops that help support writers and artists out there.
Your local brewery.
Support local. Help homies always.
Support the strike.
There. We'll see you guys next week. Cheers.
Save the whales.
Thanks.